Peace, everybody. What's going on? Back, Sheep Stay Sleep TV. I'm your host, DS1 Ross. Back here again with the BHM Series 2018. That's the Black History Month Series 2018. Peace to the family. What's up to the world? And we here. I appreciate all the support and everybody who tunes in to Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Everybody who's tuned into the Black History Month Series of 2018. And tonight, or once again, we're going to keep this series going with number 8, the chairman of the Black Panther Party, the brother Bobby Seale. Bobby Seale, y'all. That's who we're going to be talking about on this segment of the series. The chairman of the Black Panther Party, which is Bobby Seale. And I decided to cover Bobby Seale because there's a lot of misconceptions, in today's world about the Black Panthers, Black Pantherism, and what it was about. So why not discuss the chairman of the whole movement and what he designed it for? What was it intended for? And what was it supposed to accomplish for us as a people? There's a lot of opinions, but there's not a lot of facts. There's a lot of opinion, there's a lot of conjecture, and there's a lot of emotions behind what the Black Panthers stood for and what they were really about. So on this segment of the series, we're going to build on the chairman of the party. That's Brother Bobby Seale. I'm going to start off with an audio. Then I'm gonna get into the history and the background of Bobby Seale. And then we're going to end it with another audio. If you're just coming in, make sure you hit that like button. Share the show for me, please, family. Very much appreciated. Peace to everybody. Peace to the people in the chat. Peace to the people that's going to be coming through. So let's get it in, y'all. I'm exercising fair use. Fair use. This is for educational purposes only. Exercising fair use. This is a 6-minute video. No, 5-minute video. Excuse me. It's a 5-minute video with the brother Bobby Seale speaking. Listen to this powerful brother. And let's get in tune with Bobby Seale and what Black Pantherism really was. So let's get into it, family.
With all these people here, I think the most appropriate, very human, revolutionary thing to first say, like we always say, is all power to the people. But let's get on down to nitty-gritty. Don't miss it and miss the grit, all right? There's some people running around starting really what people are talking about when they say that we want a society, we want a world of humanism. Not only do we want to free all the people, but you're going to have to free the birds and the snails and the worms and the trees and the lakes and everything to free humanity. We're going to have to do that. And when we speak of pollution, we can not only speak of brothers and sisters, people and human beings alike. It's one thing to talk about doing something, and it's another thing to get down to nitty gritty and do it. If we want to do it, if we want to feel the vibrations in our soul, if we want to know where we're going as human beings, if you want to dance, if you want to feel the music of a revolutionary struggle in the framework of what we're talking about, every creative variability that exists with human beings on the face of this earth is the essence of the music that sparks our spirit, that sparks our philosophical outlook when we speak in terms of humanism and in fact implement that humanism. We do not have to articulate politics anymore. Politics should mean basically one general thing: the basic desires and needs of the people and nothing else. And all that other junk, well, the basic socio-economic structure and the adverse conditions that black people are subjected to and all this stuff, that's bull crap. We don't have time for it. We sum it up by saying you talk about the basic socioeconomic structure and the adverse conditions that black people subject to all you want. We talk about the free food and free food programs all across this country. You're wondering how we're going to do this here. It's not us who's going to do it. You're going to do it. We're talking about the medical clinics and every other survival program we got going. We'll have 20 in the next 8 months. We might have 30 in the next 2 years. At the same time, we're going to have a quantitative increase in every major oppressed community in the country. Got to happen. The only way we're going to attack capitalism, to expropriate from that capitalistic system the goods, the technology, etc., put it down in their poor oppressed communities. All of us, the people who are oppressed, and us too, and everybody producing it and giving it away free. The only way I know how to start attacking a monster of capitalism, a monster of charging people money for everything they get. We're saying the music is free, the life is free, the world is free, and if it ain't free, let's start getting our chains off now. The psychological chains and the chains of oppression. Let's get it off now. Let's move the chains off of us. Because if we don't move the chains off of us, they're going to annihilate us. They're going to annihilate us by polluting the earth. The capitalists and the fascists are going to do this here. We're saying the universe belongs to the people. The moon belongs to the people. Mars belongs to the people. And the people belong to the people. All power to the people. Thank you very much. Right on. Power to the people.
Family, that was the powerful voice of Bobby Seale. And as y'all can see, once again, he was fighting for our humanity. It wasn't about us being better than anybody else. It wasn't about us being treated better than anybody else, being separated from anybody else, but for us to be treated as humans, just like everybody else. See, he fought for humanity. He wanted us as black folks to be treated humanely. Because as y'all can see in the last dissertation I've just done on the Angola 3, if you didn't watch that, go check it out right now. It's up on Sheep Stay Sleep TV right here on this channel. The Angola 3. Those guys was treated unhumanely. And that's been happening to our people and it's still happening to our people to this day. That's why they called us 3/5 of a man, 3/5 of a human. And this is why we're treated as such. So we fought for humanity. Our historians fought for humanity, not for exception. We didn't want to be an exception to the rule. It wasn't about exclusion, it was about inclusion, because we were never included into the equation. We wanted to be treated equally. And that's what we fought for, and that's what we died for. And that's what freedom fighting was about. Freedom fighting was about fighting for the humanity of your people so we can be free and do things in society just like everybody else. So let's get to the background of the brother Bobby Seale. Bobby Seale, or Robert Seale, because you know your name is Robert, your nickname is Bobby. So Robert Seale was born October 22nd, 1936 in Dallas, Texas. And he's still alive to this day, family. African-American political activist, founder along with Huey Newton, and chairman of the Black Panther Party. Seale was one of a generation of young African-American radicals who broke away from the traditional nonviolent civil rights movement to preach a doctrine of militant Black empowerment. Now, notice how they throw that word radical in there. You see? Like I said, radical just means you went against tradition. And he preached the doctrine of militant Black power. Now, as you can see, whenever, even today, even when you have young Black men who are militant, you're posed as a threat. You're looked at and seen as violent, because you're not the smiley, giddy type of person. You're militant, you're firm in your stance. Doesn't mean you're violent. To be militant doesn't mean you're violent. But that's what they portray us to be. But there's plenty other militias and other types of organizations who call themselves militant. But they don't see them as violent and they don't deem them as violent. But whenever Black men or women are seen to be militant, they make that synonymous with violence. Following the dismissal of murder charges against him in 1971, Seale somewhat moderated his more militant views and devoted his time to effecting change from within the system. Seale grew up in Dallas and in California. Following service in the U.S. Air Force, he entered Merritt College in Oakland, California. There, his radicalism took root in 1962 when he first heard Malcolm X speak. Seale helped found the Black Panthers in 1966. Noted for their violent views, notice that. See, they deeming them violent. Noted for their violent views, they also ran medical clinics and served free breakfast to school children, among other programs. In 1969, Seale was indicted in Chicago for conspiracy to incite riots during the Democratic National Convention the previous year. The court refused to allow him to have his choice of lawyer. Isn't that illegal? When Seale repeatedly rose to insist that he was being denied his constitutional right to counsel, I just said, isn't that illegal? The judge ordered him bound and gagged. He was convicted of 16 counts of contempt and sentenced to 4 years in prison. In 1970 to 71, he and a confidant or co-defendant, were tried for the 1969 murder of a Black Panther suspected of being a police informer. The 6-month-long trial ended with a hung jury. So they was doing anything to get this brother on a murder charge so they could send him to prison. Following his release from prison, Seale renounced violence as a means to an end and announced his intention to work within the political process. He ran for mayor of Oakland in 1973, finishing second. As the Black Panther Party faded from public view, Seale took on a quieter role, working to improve social services in Black neighborhoods and to improve the environment. Seale's writings include such diverse works as Seize the Time in 1970, A History of the Black Panther Movement, and Barbecue with Bobby, a cookbook. Now, just off of those things, a lot of people could say that, oh, he sold out and he did this and he did that, which I don't agree with that. What I think happened was Bobby Seale got older and he realized that in order to really change the system, you must be in the system, you know? And that's why he took more of a quieter role. He worked to improve social services in Black neighborhoods and to improve the environment. He got much smarter. He worked smarter and not harder because he realized that they was trying to get him on anything. They was trying to send him to prison. So he smartened up and said, okay, well, I'm going to use my intelligence, get in the system and fix it from within. Like brothers like Larry Hoover out in Chicago, who was the leader of the growth and development movement. I did a dissertation on him last year for the Black History Month series. Y'all go check that out. Where he rounded up thousands of people and had all of these people voting. He created a voters block. So those guys were highly intelligent and they knew and figured out how to really attack the system. So that's why I believe, Bobby Seale took that approach. Now, some people will say that, they'll say otherwise, but I don't agree with that. And the great thing is that the brother is still alive today. He's 81 years old. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Make sure y'all hit that like button, share the show. Very much appreciated. So now we're gonna get into our second audio of the brother Bobby Seale. And in this audio, he's telling you about what the Black Panthers were about. The 10-point program of the Black Panthers. So take note, family.
I got to explain to you also your soul, your needs, your political desires and needs, because that is Huey's soul. When we first organized the Black Panther Party of Self-Defense, he would say, Bobby, He says, we're going to draw up a basic platform, just basic, that black people can read. He says, we don't want to go real elaborate with all these essays and dissertations and all this stuff, because the brother going to look at that and he say, man, I ain't got time for that. I got to go see what I can do for myself. It's just a basic platform that the mothers who struggle hard to raise us, that the fathers who worked hard, that the young brothers in school who come out of school semi-illiterate, you say we want freedom, we want power to determine the destiny of our black community. Full employment for our people. Number 3, we want housing fit, decent housing fit for shelter of human beings. Number 4, we want all black men to be exempt from military service. Number 5, we want decent education for our black people in our community that teaches us the true nature of this decadent racist society, and to teach black people and our young black brothers and sisters their place in society, because if they don't know their place in society and in the world, they can't relate to anything else. Number 6, want an end to the robbery by the white racist businessman of black people and black people in their community. Number 7, we want an immediate end to police brutality and murder of black people. Federal jails and prisons to be released because they have not had a fair trial, because they've been tried by all white juries, and that's just like being tried in Germany being a Jew. Number 8, we want black people throughout the trial to be tried by members of their peers, and a peer being one who comes from the same economic, social, religious, historical, and racial background. If the United States government and the courts and the local courts did this, they would have to choose black people from the black community to sit up on the jury. They'd have to choose some of the mothers who've been working 20 years in Miss Ann's kitchen scrubbing floors like my mother done done. They have to choose some of them hard-working fathers. They have to choose some of those brothers who stand on the block out there wondering where they're going to get a gig. They're going to have to choose these black people. And number 10, he would say, let's just summarize it. We want housing, we want clothing, we want education, we want justice, and we want peace. This is a basic platform. In case you never knew it or not, of all the things that you've heard in the press, of all the derogatory statements that's been made in the press about Brother Huey P. Newton and I, of all these derogatory statements to guide you away from seeing this basic platform that Huey was talking about for his own people. We have to learn to look through the white press. We have to learn to see what's going on. Now, out of this platform, Huey P. Newton realized that it was necessary for us to start working on these points, these 10 points, practically. Remember number 7? We want an immediate end to police brutality and murder of black people. It's very, very important. And here, whether you know it or not, it's where you start dealing with the black revolution. When you said every black home, and once we let the man know, say, look, we armed from block to block, and we're going to patrol you from our windows. And we're not going to have you brutalizing none of our people in the streets. Do you realize what kind of power black people have then? Because you begin to neutralize that police force, because them cops going to start riding shaky and scared. In fact, we're in a position then to demand that they withdraw from our community because they occupy our community just like a foreign troop occupies territory. Very important to understand. We hate cops beating black people over their heads and murdering them. That's what we hate. Not enough energy to sit down and hit a white person just because of the color of his skin. You waste a lot of energy. You better take that same energy and put it in some motion out there and start dealing with those oppressive conditions, and you're going to find out just what you hate and what you're going to stop. racism. You dig it? When you stop racism, you stop brutality and murder of black people by the racist occupying army in our black community. That's what we're going to stop. What's being done to us? You dig it? Can you dig the white power structure and its racist police force and how they've escalated the situation? That before Watts there was 1,300 cops. Now there's 6,000 cops patrolling black people. That in Oakland they had 350 cops just 3.5 years ago. Now they got 1,000 cops patrolling black people. San Francisco's doubled its police force, and every area, major metropolis where black people live all across this country, they've doubled, tripled, and quadrupled their police force, equipped them with tanks, all kinds. We got to stop it, brother. Let's get together and unify.
Family, it's the great Bobby Seale. And notice one thing that the brother said: do not waste your time hating white people because they're white. Use that energy to organize and to do something. You see? Go out in the world and do something with that energy, and then you'll figure out what you should actually be doing and really fighting against. You see? So all of you people on YouTube that run around and push white hate, our historians and freedom fighters didn't hate white people because they were white. What they hated was what was being done to us. You see? The racial inequality, the brutality, the wrongful incarcerations, no social justice. You see? That's what our people hated. They didn't hate white people because they were white. You see? So y'all cut that nonsense out, because you need to use all that energy to put it into something productive. You see? So pay attention to that, family. Pay attention to that. Our historians and freedom fighters didn't hate white people just because they were white, because then that would have made us just like the people who we were against and who were against us, because they hated us because we were black. So if we hate white people because they're white, then does that make us any better? You see? Stop misquoting our freedom fighters. Stop misconstruing our history, because none of that's true. Stop letting your emotions override fact, because then what you begin to do is you begin to spew out hateful rhetoric to the youth. Our youth today that have a problem with the white infrastructure, they don't hate them because they're white. They hate them because they beat their man to death the other night in the middle of the projects. They shot one of their homeboys in the back because they was running from police. They locked their fathers up for 25 and 30 years for selling drugs to try to take care of them. But these same fathers didn't put the drugs there. These same fathers didn't want to sell drugs. They sold drugs because it was a means of employment for them. The same reason why the young boys sell drugs today. So cut it out with hating white people because they white, because that's why they hate us. So does that make you any better? That doesn't make you superior. That makes you weak. So shout out to everybody in the chat. Let me see what's going on in here. I'm gonna read some comments, and then we gonna close out this one, family. I appreciate all the love and support. Peace to Donnie Links. Welcome to Sheep Stay Sleep TV. You know, make sure you subscribe, brother. You like what you hearing? The Truth Hurts podcast. Peace, family. I'm glad you've been tuning in lately, bro. You know, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, bro. Stay in tune with the info. My brother Rob, peace to you, big bro. The educator, brother Rob. Y'all make sure y'all go subscribe to brother Rob. He's an educator. The Thunder God, Zeus Flippy. Shout out to Zeus Flippy. Cat PY2. Shout out to my brother Cat PY2. Y'all go subscribe to my brother Cat. Shout out to Soul Alchemy. Thanks for listening as always, sis. I will have to say you right, Cat. You know, I was a little guy in the 90s, but, you know, I was pretty much brought up on the Nation of Islam and the Malcolm X doctrine. Kuntra Stacey Dash is running for Congress. Yeah, I heard about that too, Cat. She not gonna win. She just like Homegirl. She trying to play that role like Homegirl played. Um, what's her name? Who just got kicked out of the White House? I forgot Homegirl name. Yeah, Omarosa. I think she just trying to play that role, man. You know, Stacey Dash done hit the wall. She's an older woman. She looking for a come up. So she want to play in that political field. Hopefully she can make some money. That's all I think that is, Cap. You know? So shout out to y'all for tuning in, man. Yup, that's the truth. That's the truth, Cap. Never supposed to trust them. Never. Just deal with them for you know, for the reasons you need to deal with them. Other than that, we don't have to deal with them at all. You know? Yeah, I hope she do. But I know why she up in there too. You know, she gonna try to find her a few Johns so she could get a couple checks, you know. A lot of these famous women that you never saw bed wenching and all that, they start bed wenching once they get older and they hit the wall. They can't get no young dude no more. They can't go get no young millionaires. So they go run around and play in that field. You know, hopefully they could get them a Caucasian trick, you know, get them a little white sugar daddy so he could pay for their life and, you know, they can live like that. And that's what I believe Omarosa did. And as you can see, you saw the outcome of that. See you later. That's what happens to bad wenches. They showed that in the movie Tyler Perry made with Sanaa Lathan when she left her husband to go be with that corporate white guy. And he used her ass up till he was done with her. She got gifts, she got jewelry, you know, all types of dresses, cars, everything. But when he was done, she was done. And that's how it works, man. That's how it works. Shout out to Chef JT. Looking for coming through, brother. You know, you might have to catch the playback though, bro. Shout out to JD Sparta. Welcome to Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Make sure y'all hit that like button and subscribe. Stay in tune with the Black History Month series of 2018, along with plenty other content. Y'all could check it out. And all of them do pick money over truth. Yeah. It's not just these days, man. It's always been around. Shout out to OG D Rag. Looking for coming through, bro. Just finishing up my Black History Month series, bro. You know, Bobby Seale is number 8, the chairman. You know, you could go check out the other ones, D Red, 1 through 7, or you could catch the playback on here too. Check out the Black History Month series of 2018. But yeah, they was taking money back then, man. JD, I appreciate that, JD. I appreciate that. You know? But yeah, they been taking money, you know? That's what a coon is. A coon does things for money. Most coons are rich. There's not too many broke coons, man. If you gonna be a coon, you gotta get paid. You're not getting paid. I don't really consider you a coon. You know, I just think you just a damn idiot. Omarosa is more intelligent than Stacy, although Omarosa screwed herself with her peeps. Yeah, she seems to be more intelligent. At least that's how she carries herself, you know. But a lot of them women could dress nice and, you know, look the part. That don't mean they got no damn sense, Cap. You know, because if Omarosa really had some damn sense, she wouldn't have been part of no goddamn Trump administration. So I wouldn't say she's too intelligent, bro. That's just my opinion, though. You know, good looking, D Red. Good looking. Appreciate that, man. But yeah, Bobby Seale was powerful, man. He was a powerful dude, and he's still alive today. And he's still speaking on the same issues. Go to YouTube, type in Bobby Seale speech, and you'll find some current things. He actually has one lecture where he says from the 60s to the future, where he's speaking on, you know, what's going on and how some of the same things that was going on in the 60s is still going on now, you know? Still going on now. You know, they just dress it up different. But it's the same stuff, man. Yep, that's true, JT. She did sell her soul, and now she wants sympathy. That's a fact. But that's what bad wenches do. That's what bad wenches do. Good night, Savon B. Peace to you, sis. Everybody who just tuning in, y'all might have to catch the playback. Shout out to Victor Lyons. I appreciate it, bro. On the constant support. Yeah, you can never have no sympathy for a bad wench. Or even a black man who decides to sell his soul for the same purposes. I don't feel sorry for a Sheriff Clark. I don't feel sorry for a Steve Harvey. I don't feel sorry for people like that because they know good and goddamn well what they doing. They know. They know what they doing. And they doing it for financial gain and for recognition. That's what it's all about. And they do that type of shit so they could run around and shit on other black people. That's what it's really about. That's all they want to do, Vic. That's all they want to do. And want to run around and think they better than the next black woman. You know? It's all bullshit, you know? And then when shit don't go their way, you know, they try to crawl and slide their way back to the black community or try to speak on black issues, knowing good and goddamn well when they was laying up in the house, they didn't give a goddamn what was happening to us. But it's all a game. That's why I love when they get their ass caught in the bear trap. I love it. And I don't feel sorry for them. Yeah, that's a fact, JD. And a lot of dudes that I hang out with, if I or that I have hung out with, a lot of them dudes I don't really deal with no more. If I feel like you a sellout, I'm not gonna deal with you because I know at any point in time you might sell my ass down the road. So I don't even deal with them, bro. Yep, you're right, Vic. Same ones who invaded this country. Yep, exactly, Cap. Exactly. Because she tired of his black cowboy boot wearing ass trying to act like he a goddamn a white farmer or something. She tired of that shit. She tired of it. Be a black man and stand on who the hell you are. You know? I did a my first freedom fighter that I discussed here on the Black History Month series 2018 was Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson married nothing but white women. And them women used to say what they loved about him was his courage and that he wasn't afraid to stand up to anybody. That's why she tired of him, Cap, because he a coward, and she know that. He tucks his tail. Don't no woman want no cowardly man. How the hell you gonna protect her? No matter if she white, black, green, purple, whatever color she is. All these women want men, real men. And men stand up for what they do. They stand on what they do and they hold their own nuts. You know? And they don't care about the consequences behind them holding their own nuts either. See, Sheriff Clark is afraid of the consequences. He a coward. He a coward, just like Steve Harvey. He a coward. He damn sure didn't. Jack Johnson feared no man, and that's why he married all them white women. And that's why they gave him so much flack too. Because them white women was in love with Jack. Not just because he was in shape and he was a very attractive man, but he was a man of courage. He was a man's man. All women like manly men. Don't matter what goddamn color you are. We got to get off that color shit too, man, because that shit is fallacy. It's fallacy, man. We need to get up off that color shit. No matter what color you are, that means nothing. Either you a real person or you a fake person. Either you hate people or you love people. Period. Some of us will, some of us won't. Vic, you know. Cause all that shit has been adjusted and swept under the rug. You don't even hear about Kaepernick no more. You think he did it to piss him off, JD? Nah, I don't think so. Because he had three wives. He got married three times, and all three of them were white women. All three of them. I think he just grew up and he liked white women because if you go back and watch the stream, he grew up around white people and they were his friends. He never hated white people because they were white. He grew up in Galveston, Texas. Salute, salute. Truth Hurts podcast. Always, man. Always. You know? But yeah, if y'all missed any episodes so far, y'all could go back and check them out. Check out 1 through 7, y'all. Check out 1 through 7. I started it with Jack Johnson. You think so, Cap? You think they you I think they could in a way you could say that, but I think that they use the white women as a way to attack him more. That they used her as a catalyst to say, "Oh, you want to date our women? Oh, our women love you. Okay, so now we're not gonna pay you what you deserve." I don't think the white women who was with Jack, was there to take him down. I don't think that. If that's what you're trying to say, bro, I don't think they did that. I think them white women loved him. You know. Thanks, brother Rob. I appreciate that, big bro. I always appreciate that, man, from my big brothers and my OGs, man. I appreciate that, man. But that's always been the case, though, Cap. And that's why the Nation of Islam always taught me never to deal with them because they will use her, as an adversary, as a tool to bring you down. Exactly, exactly. So they used her as a tool. Oh, you wanna deal with our women? Okay, so now we're gonna trump charges up on you for you having a white wife. Because I believe if he wasn't married to white women, they would have found something else to trump up on him. And I believe they would have just blatantly attacked him and his family. See, they didn't attack him and his family. They didn't burn their houses down and stuff like that because that white woman was there. But they did use the fact that he married white women and they penalized him for it. And that's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that you don't deal with their women because sometimes they'll send their women after you to court you to help bring you down. So I understand your premise, big bro. I understand what you're saying, Cap. Yeah, he could have did that too. Yeah, yeah. Cause he was a if you go back and listen to it, JD, he was a he was kind of flashy too. Cause Muhammad Ali got some of his style from him as being flashy and flamboyant. So yeah, he could have rubbed it in their face at times. Definitely. It is military science. Definitely. It is. If you look at a lot of war, they used women. The war over Troy was over a woman. That's true. They'll always send their women in and use their women as weapons. But we don't use our women as weapons. We don't. We sacrifice our women. And that's the shit we have to stop as black men. We got to stop sacrificing our women and throwing our women to the wolves, you know, and make sure our women understand military science and operate as such too, because they women understand that stuff. But we also have to admit that white women and just women, period, all over the world love the black man. And that's just the truth too. And I believe back then, all them women didn't agree with I'm willing to take, this black man down because he black. I believe there was white women just like there's white women now who genuinely love black men and want to be with black men. Yeah, he was flashy. He was flashy, brother Rob. He was. Facts, Cap. Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what it was. And them white women loved it. They loved it just like today. Just like today. In the South today, there's some there's some white women that'll say, I don't deal with white men. I only deal with black men. They have children by black men, you know? They had black women as their best friends, you know? They love us, man. They love us. And that gives their white counterpart more reason to hate us. Because it's like, we hate these motherfuckers so much, but how could y'all love them? You know? Yeah, he was a flamboyant dude. He was. Nah, we not talking about white acceptance, D Red. We don't care about white acceptance. And that's what a lot of us get misconstrued. Our historians didn't fight for white acceptance. We fought for humane acceptance. We wanted to be treated as humans, not to be accepted by nobody. We wanted to be treated fairly, not to be treated better than nobody, not to be looked at as superior to anybody. We wanted to be treated like humans, not treated like animals or less than animals. It's never about white acceptance. And a lot of people got that misconstrued, man. Go back and rewatch this. Bobby Seale was not talking about white acceptance. None of our freedom fighters spoke about white acceptance. It was about humanity, being treated like humans. I've never dated a white woman myself or had sex with one. That's what it was about. Freedom, justice, and equality. Not about being better than nobody, not about being accepted by nobody. That was never what it was about. No, none of our freedom fighters in history spoke about white acceptance. None of us. They didn't get destroyed. They didn't get destroyed. What they did was they tried to change things from within the system, like we have to do. How the hell you gonna change the system from outside of the system? That's never gonna work. That's never gonna work. Yeah, and crackers was robbing banks with them too. Don't forget about that. If you gonna say that, don't forget about that. They were getaway drivers too. Their getaway drivers was white. So what that has to do with acceptance? Cause you get high with a white boy. That don't sound right. That don't sound right, bro. So because you smoke weed with a white boy, you want to be accepted by white people? That doesn't make sense. There was a lot of informants. There was a lot of informants. Bobby Seale beat a murder rap because they said that him and another dude killed the informant. There was plenty of informants in the movement, and some of them were black too. And they became integrationalists. Why? Ask yourself why. To be next to white people? That's what you think? Sue, what up, Sue? Sizzle in the building. Y'all subscribe to Suicide Age 29. A lot of people got that misconception, man, that black people want to be next to white folks. That's not the truth. That's not in none of our history. We always wanted to be treated equal. Now, if you call that integration, then hey, JB back. Peace. Shout out for coming through. The Black Panther spirit spread it around the world. Even Asians formed their own Black Panther party. Exactly, because it was an ideology. It was an ideology to push humanity. And any group who felt like they was being treated less than human followed that ideology. That's why you had a group of white folks who followed also. It was about fighting oppression. We're in this society. And the way we're going to change things is by being a part of it. If you have a problem with the educational system, then why not get in the educational system? Why just stand back and talk about it and be on the outside of it? If you have a problem with politics, get into politics. Don't be on the outside of it just complaining. That's what these brothers did. That's what these sisters did. And there's something wrong with that? I don't understand that. If you gonna fight for your freedom, that's how you gotta do it. No, you can create your own curriculum. You can't create your own educational system. The educational system is already here. It's already here, bro. So you think we're gonna overthrow the educational system we have here and have our own and have them accept our own? That's never gonna work. That doesn't even make logical sense. Brother Rob works in the educational system and he's making a change while being part of it. He's not saying to get rid of this and we're going to have our own system. Who's going to accept it? What legislation is going to pass that? We got to deal with practicality too. We can't just deal in theory. We got to deal with what's going to happen, what we going to do. Oh, yeah, we definitely can do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I agree with that. Totally agree, OG. Educate our own. Definitely. This is the reason, and this is why I do the Black History Month every year. This is why I did it last year, and this is why I'm doing it again this year. And I'm gonna continue to do it as long as I'm on YouTube to educate our own and to educate our children on the stories of our freedom fighters who are not talked about. Because all they're taught in the school system is Martin Luther King, Frederick Douglass, Benjamin Banneker, W.E.B. Du Bois. They don't even talk about Malcolm X no more in school. That's true, JD. Of course they won't admit it. Of course. Yeah, he did say that. He did. And I agree with him. I agree with him. That's why I believe you're supposed to educate your children at home too. Because home is the first school of a child before he goes to school outside. Home is a school also. That's the first school of a child. Home. So your child must have two curriculums. You must have two. He must learn at home about who he is and what role he plays to his family, and he must go out to the outside school and learn what he needs to learn to navigate in this system because he needs that education also. So we definitely must teach our children. Definitely. I'm definitely not against that. Definitely not. Yeah, Dr. Amos Wilson, he's powerful. Powerful. Another great freedom fighter. I think I'm gonna put him in next year, brother Rob. I gotta look at some things and read some things about Amos Wilson. Definitely. We have to start our own curriculum. Stop waiting for the school because they're not going to do it. Let's create our own destiny and let's go from there. I agree. I agree. See, I understand something about the school system and how they could fail your child because my youngest son was a victim of that. And me and my wife started our own homeschool and took him out of school for a whole year. And when he went back to school, he actually got skipped a grade. So I understand firsthand about that. I understand that. Booker T. Washington principles are the foundation. Hmm. Dr. Amos Wilson is that dude. Yep. Free Larry Hoover. Yep. Definitely free that man. Free the king. And if y'all didn't know, his son was trying to become mayor of Chicago. Tyree Hoover, highly intelligent brother. He said his. I watched the interview with him. He said his father was sending him all the books he was reading in prison. He was sending them home to his son to read. His youngest son, Tyree, is the youngest one. His other sons were gangsters and street dudes like him. So he made sure that his youngest son was gonna mirror what he wanted to become. Yeah, the schools are not teaching you really nothing. They're not. What all the school really do is teach you how to socialize. School teach you how to socialize and how to network with people. It doesn't teach you how to think or anything like that. Adam Clayton Powell Jr., in my humble opinion, Dr. Amos Wilson explains the problem and a solution for now and the future. Wow, really, Jarvis? That's interesting, man. I didn't know that. Shout out to the youth, man. Shout out to you, bro. Shit. You listening to this type of information and other information from certain people, man. That's good, man. It's not a lot of guys, around your age that's even interested in this stuff. Right. Salute to him, cat. For real. Yeah, it is indoctrination. It is. It is. But we gotta figure out what they indoctrinating them with too. Because we indoctrinate our children also with certain things. Because if I lived in Chicago, and my sons needed to go to a certain school, I'll send them to the school where Brother Rob is at. And I'm not gonna feel like he'll mislead my children because he's a good brother, you know? And we gotta understand that there's people in the school system that care too and that want to see our children win also. So we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But we definitely have to focus on teaching our children who we are and who they are too, and what you mean to your people. So I understand y'all premise. Don't think I'm missing the point, because I totally do. Yeah, yeah. It happens to some people like that, JD. You know? That happens. That happens sometimes. And it's not just because it's an effect from the school system, but it also could come from the fact that she's playing this yes role because she want to get by. She want to get what she wants. So a lot of people bow down. They don't because they're afraid to be seen as radical because they don't want no doors to shut in their face. You know, so a lot of black women play the role, black or white. They play the role because they want the perks. I definitely agree with that. Truth Hurts podcast. I definitely agree with that. I agree with that. Definitely do, Rob. Facts, and that's exactly why I will send my children to the school where you at because I know you'll teach my sons how to think. There's no more critical thinking anymore. At least when I was in school, and they used to give us our little workbooks. They used to always have a section at the bottom of the page. They give you a critically thinking question where you can't just answer the question. You have to think a certain way to answer the question. Yeah, the teachers are extremely lazy, but it's not just the teachers, it's the system that the teachers are a part of too. Because there's no more textbooks. Most of these kids are getting worksheets and shit. But that's good though. I would rather my children come home and say that they don't like you, brother Rob, because I know you pushing them to go in the right direction. I tell my sons that all the time. Sometimes you're not gonna like dad. Sometimes you might say you hate me. But guess what? When you grow up and become a man, you're gonna remember these lessons and you're gonna thank me. Because I used to say the same stuff about my dad. But I wouldn't be the dad that I am, or even half the dad that I am, if it wasn't for my dad. I implement a lot of my own things, but my foundation came from my dad. So they'll get over it, bro. That's how I look at it. And that's what I tell them all the time. You'll get over from being mad, and you're gonna thank me later when you in this wicked world and you don't understand why you so mentally strong and why it's not so easy for you to give up. That comes from teachings. Yeah, man. Yeah, JD. That's why a lot of our people, you know, they follow the rules and walk that fine line. Cause they want that Fortune 500 job. They want the six figures a year. They want that. So expressing who you feel like you are and standing up for who you are and your people, they like, man, forget all that shit. I want a Benz. I want to live in an affluent neighborhood. you know? That's just how some people think. They want the perks in life. Yep, that's a fact. That's a fact, JT. Hell, I'm teaching my dad. you know, that happens sometimes, man. I mean, my dad tell me he learned a lot from me too, cause he listened to my shows and stuff too sometimes. Because a lot of our parents grew up, with with a with We're not being exposed to a lot. Society is much different now. Facts. Facts, brother Rob. Facts. Facts. That's and see, that's what I'm talking about. That's why I'll send my kids to you. And I wouldn't think that they're being indoctrinated. Because I know there's a brother in the inside that care and that's gonna make sure they do good. They are exceptional. Yep, it's the age of information now. When our parents was growing up, my dad was born in the 60s and grew up in the 70s. My mom and my dad. So it was a lot of shit still, you know, kept and tucked away from them. Yep, that's true. That's true. We need more of our brothers and sisters on the inside advocating and fighting for us. And we do need to be going to these PTA meetings. We do. So we can know what the hell's going on in the school and in the school districts. See, a lot of us that's parents sit back and complain about shit, but they don't even know what's going on. Now you are a superstar, brother Rob. You are, man. You are. One day my son might be on YouTube and be doing a Black History Month series, and you might get brought up, man. Don't think that, brother. You are. You a freedom fighter. You on the inside fighting for the minds to be free for our children. You are, bro. You are a superstar. And you need to be honored. And you need to be held up. I know you don't want the fame. That's that, that's that Josephine Baker. You just want to do the work and let your work speak. I understand that. But I'm into you know, giving my people their props and they just do while they here, because I feel like that's what should have happened with a lot of our historians. A lot of them were taken for granted, man. They were taken for granted. We gotta honor brothers like you, man, because you could be off doing something else. Shit, I know you got other skills and shit. You could be off being a mechanic or fixing toilets or some shit. You're doing something totally different, man. Especially where you came from. So that needs to be saluted, bro. Yep, because of the lack of knowledge. Facts. That's a fact. Yeah, that's true, JD. But what also is true is that a lot of dads don't go up to schools. And that's a problem too. A lot of dads are not active in their children's education. They're not because they don't think they should. They think that that's the role of the mother when it's the role of both of y'all. So there's a lot of ways, of us black men that we need to correct too. Because we need to be at them PTA meetings just as much as the mothers. You know? We need to show these people that we involved in our children's lives and that we care. Because see, when them teachers see a dad up there, they know we can't bullshit no more. We can't lie to this man because this man gonna ask questions. This man actually cares. And I notice because when I go up to my son's school, they it's a total different ball game. It's a totally different ball game. When dad is sitting in there and he questioning shit, it's different. It's different, man. So we gotta start showing up too, bro. Facts. Facts. That's what he's doing. Truth hurts. That's what he's doing. And we need to commend that, man. We need to commend that. Y'all go check out the interview on my channel with Brother Rob. Go check out that interview. And he's talking about what he's about. Exactly. Exactly, man. Exactly. And I salute you, Brother Rob. So yo, man, it was great building with y'all. You know, if y'all didn't see the show, make sure y'all watch the playback on Bobby Seale so y'all can listen to the brother speak. I'm your host, DS1 Ross. You just tuned in to Sheep Stay Sleep TV and the Black History Month series for 2018. I will be finishing up tonight, so stay tuned for the next two shows. Peace out.